Hi everybody, welcome back. So in this video, we're going to continue with part 2 of the Ricoh 984. As you guys remember, that's going to be an overheating issue with your CTO board. I mentioned to you guys that we would need to check the docking and make sure that the fan, let's look at it in here, it's working. Put our hand here, we should feel some suction. Now, if we don't feel anything and it's not working, we keep getting the Ricoh 984. The next thing we got to do is completely turn off the units. If you're able to, go ahead and turn it off from the front. And then once that screen is off, we're going to go around the back and we're going to turn it off. Okay, mine's off. I'm going to turn it off from the back as well. Next thing we're going to do is remove the top cover. So you have two screws located, one here towards the left, right there. There's one on the right, right there. And there's going to be 3 of them behind the unit, right up here. 1, 2, and then 3 over there. Okay? Once you got those screws off, we're going to go ahead and we're going to remove the top cover. And I'm going to show you guys how to get this cover off. If you're one person, this is how it's done. You look at it from the back, head it towards the center of the printer. You're going to lift it up from one side, put you underneath it, and you're going to pick it up just like that. Okay, make sure you put this in a nice safe place where you won't trip on it. Next, we're going to come over towards the docking and the CTO board. And we're going to go ahead and remove some parts here. Okay. First thing we're going to do is we're going to remove the cover from the CTO. There's 4 screws. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Let me go around the side of the machine and I'll get those out for you guys. Okay. I put my screws up here or my little fan covers so that way they don't get lost. That's 1, that's 2. I already got those 2 off in the back. That comes off. We're going to come over to our dock right here. Remember, we're going to remove these 2 little rubber caps. And there's going to be 2 small screws located inside. We're also going to remove these tie mounts. Just kind of put your finger on the inside of this tie mount, lift up on it, and that gets released. We're going to put a screwdriver inside the holes right here and remove the 2 little screws that hold that docking in place. Okay, that's 1. As you guys can see, this thing is full of lint. Look at that. So that's something that can be stopping your fan from working properly. Okay, so that's 1 screw. Again, I'm put up there where my little fan filter goes, and I'm going to remove the other screw. There we go. Okay, your screwdriver should be nice and level. You kind of feel around for it. There's my other screw. Now I can go ahead and pull this docking up and then carefully pull it towards me slowly, and I can release it from the unit. I can go ahead and remove the 2 screws here in the bottom. There's 2 on top. So we'll start by taking those 2 out. Now be careful guys, you don't want to pull too hard on this. You don't want to damage these cables, okay? So be real gentle with it. If you want, you can bring that out of the tie wrap to give you guys a little more working room and place it right up here on your power supply. Just going to remove that cable. That's 1 screw. There's another screw right here. 2 screws. I'm going to turn this around. Flip it over to one side. And I'm going to show you guys the other 2 screws, which is right here. I'm going to take those 2 screws out. Now we don't want to take this thing apart all the way. We want to do section by section. That way later on you don't forget how this thing goes. If you got a pencil, you can go ahead and mark a little line down the center here, so you know that this piece goes on this end. That's going to be your mark right there, that you know where it goes. Okay. Carefully pull this out. As you can see, guys, in there, that is really full of dust. Look at that. Oh, that lint that's in there. You can get a little brush that out. Get a little spray bottle with some, not a spray bottle, but a little aerosol can. Spray some air in there. As you can see here, my filter running the edge right there. That is really filled with lint as well. Okay. Same thing with this one. If you look in the inside here, all that in there, that's lint. So you can go ahead and get a little brush. You can stick it on this end. Again, you get like a little aerosol can with air. Look at that. Get a little aerosol can with air. Spray that out. Make sure that's clean. Next, we're going to go to the CTO board. We're also going to go ahead and remove that because we're going to clean the bottom of it where the heat sinks are at. I'm going to go ahead and give you guys a better view. So we're going to go mobile here. Okay, I'm over here towards the left side of my printer. First thing I'm going to do is disconnect the cables. This ribbon cable comes out. We're going to get this little clip here. Going to carefully lift it up with your nail. Make sure it goes vertical. You don't want to push too far back. You can't damage that. Carefully remove this cable. Make sure you don't damage these leads here. It's very important. If these get damaged, you got to replace this cable. So be careful when you're placing this cable somewhere. Next, we're going to get this connection here. This cable. Grab those cables nice and tight. Shift left to right. Pull them out towards you. Next cable, same process. We're going to go to our CTO USB cable. Pull that guy out. We're going to go to our ribbon cables. Same process as we did with the small cable. Really careful with our nail. We're going to lift that clip up and we're going to disconnect that cable. Give you guys a better view here. Get your nut in there. Real careful, guys. Take that out. I'm going to go towards the back of the CTO board. Again, we're going to pull these cables out. Carefully, we're going to pull this guy out. This guy here is a little bit more tricky. So what we're going to do here, let me zoom in. You can see these little teeth here, the beige ones. You want to get your nail in between these little beige teeth and that black connection. You can use your nail or a small flat screwdriver. Kind of wedge it in there and pull this out. Just be real gentle with it. There we go. And next we're going to go over towards the right side of the printer. And we're going to disconnect these three cables. This one right here, again, hold those nice and tight. Pull that towards you. This one right here has a little clip here on top. Push that clip down. Pull that towards the back or towards you. This one right here is a little fragile, so you want to make sure you hold those cables nice and tight. You want to shift left to right, up and down, kind of make a little circle motion as you pull towards you, and that's going to come out. Okay, next we have 6 screws. 2 here towards the end, 2 in the center, 2 on the other end. And we have one more cable right here that we're going to take out once we get this board dismounted. I'm going to go ahead and put my camera here back on my tripod, and I'm going to take those screws out and show you guys how to disconnect that last cable. Okay, so we're going to start with the screws over here. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Okay, once we got those screws off, we're going to carefully lift the board up. And we can see that connection right here, the purple one. Now we can go ahead and grab that cable and just carefully pull that out. Okay. Once you got this board out, what you want to clean is this part right here. These are the heat sinks. That's what keeps the board cool. As you can see, mine's building up quite a bit of dust right here. There's going to be some dust inside here as well. You want to make sure you get a small brush and we clean this out. You can grab a little bit of alcohol and also clean around the edges. Clean this guy out. Just be real gentle with this guy. You guys don't want to damage any of these components. A little toothbrush, a little bit of alcohol, and just kind of brush that away. Okay. Now that we got everything cleaned out, we're going to give it some time here just to dry. You don't want to put this back together and turn it on with any wet alcohol. Now once again guys, use alcohol and nothing else. No cleaning fluid, none of that stuff. Okay? We don't want to damage this board here. Okay, I'm going to give you guys a side view here. Because we're going to reconnect this back. Oh, maybe this works better. And right there should be good. All right. Okay, guys. Okay, that's dry. Let's give some time here, and let's start to reconnect these things. Okay. So the first cable we're gonna connect is gonna be that purple cable that I showed you guys a minute ago. Go ahead and get my camera positioned here again. Sorry guys for the camera jumping around everywhere. Okay, here we go. This should be good right there. Okay. Alright, so here's my board. I'm going to make sure my heat sinks are facing down and towards the right side of the printer. I'm going to get my little purple cable and I'm going to connect it right here to my first connection. Now these are all one-way connections, so if it doesn't go in this way, flip it around, push it in there. Okay, we're going to go ahead and make sure these cables here are outside of the machine because we don't want them to get tucked in underneath the board. We're going to go ahead and lift these cables here, the ribbon cables, make sure they're also outside. The cables are here. Now you have a small pin right here and you got like a little clip right here. You got to make sure the board goes underneath that clip, right up here, and onto that pin. Okay. Once again, we're going to make sure all our cables are out, none of them are tucked in underneath the board. Now before we screw this back in, look down the little holes. Make sure there's no cables going across. You don't want to accidentally damage a cable with the screw. Okay. Once we got that all verified, we're going to start screwing these back in an X pattern. Remember guys, I'm over here towards the left side over by where the ink supplies are at. And I'm going to start with my first screw up here. Okay. So this is towards me, this is away from me. I'm going to call this the top, this is the back. Okay, so on top left, we're going to put our first screw. It's not tight, it's loose. Bottom right, screw, loose as well. Bottom left, screw, loose as well. Top right, screw, loose as well. Once I got my screws all loose, I'm going to verify one more time that all my cables are out. None of them are sticking or tucked in underneath the board. And I'm going to go ahead and start tightening my screws. Again, I'm going to start from the top left, tie that down. Once I feel that it's tight, quarter turn more, and done. Bottom right, done. Bottom left, top right, and then two centers. Okay. Once I got my screws in, I'm going to start reconnecting. Okay, the first cable we're going to connect, it's going to be this small cable that's CN124. That's going to go into the black connector right here. Make sure that's all the way in. We don't want this sticking out sideways like this. Okay, make sure it's all the way in there. Next is this larger gray cables. Make sure that's all the way in. Make sure that's not sideways. We're going to get a little bit of alcohol. We're going to clean our leads here. We want to clean it in an upward motion. You want to go upwards. You don't want to go left to right. You can damage it. Go upwards, 1 or 2 cleans. We're going to slide this back into its connector. Okay, I'm going to slide that back in there. And I'm going to close that clip. I'm going to get my USB cable. Put that back in. Purple cable's already in there. I'm going to give it a little push. Make sure it's in. end of the way. I'm going to get my large colorful connector, put that in there. Make sure that's all the way in. I'm going to get my single cable with the beige connection. Push that, make sure that's all the way in. I'm going to get my ribbon cables. Again, I'm going to gently clean these on an upward motion with alcohol. I'm not doing it now because I didn't have anything in my hands. They're completely clean. But just to make sure, you guys want to get a little bit of alcohol and a lint-free wipe, and you want to clean these on an upward motion. You don't want to go left to right, always upwards. You don't want that, Mr. Leeds. I'm going to make sure my locks here are all vertical. And I'm going to start with the small one at the bottom. I'm going to make sure that's all the way in there. I'm going to close it. I'm going to make sure it's not offset. As you can see there, that's nice and straight. Next cable. Close that one. Next cable. Close that one. I'm going to go over towards the left side of my unit. And I'm going to reconnect these cables as well. I'm going to start with this white, gray, and black connection. That's in. A large white connector. That's in. And then this colorful one. There we go. Okay, once again, I'm going to double check my connections. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Okay, 13 connections. Now I'm going to get my tripod because I'm going to put together my cooling assembly or my cooling dock for the CTL. Let me get that back on here. Okay. Now, as you remember, guys, this is the reason why we drew a line there, because now I can't tell which way is which. But this side is cleaner, so that's the bottom. That side has more dust, so that's the top. And this goes right in there. That's why we draw a little line down it, so we know which side goes where and where it goes centered, okay? We're going to go ahead and put the little screws back. There's going to be 4 screws. Okay, so again, I'm going to put my screws in nice and loose, just to make sure that I get all the screws in there. And then once I got my screws in, I'm going to go ahead and tighten them. Okay. These little screws here have the 2 washers. One's a regular washer, one's a lock washer. Once you feel it that it's kind of tight, give it a quarter turn more. That's all you need. You don't want to strip these. So that's in there. Quarter turn more. Okay, that one's in there. Quarter turn more. Now, before we put this in, we want to make sure all our cables are moved to one side. We don't want to pinch any cables. We want to make sure our power connection here is towards the back of the unit and it's on top. We're just going to carefully slide this in at an angle. Make sure you don't damage that CTO board. And we're going to drop this down. Okay? Once it's in there, I'm going to give it a little tug towards me. That's where it's going to sit. Okay? You'll feel it when it stops. And that's it. Now, this is the fun part. We're going to put the screws back in there. If you got a small flashlight, you can look through here and you can see where those screws go. Or if you got good aim, you could just drop them in there. Okay? That's in there. Quarter turn. That one's in there. That's tight. Quarter turn. Alright. Okay, that's in. Gonna make sure we lock down our cable mounts here again. And we're gonna reinstall our plates for our cover for our CTL board. Okay, let me see here. There we go. Okay, guys. Now your CTO board has these little indentations right here. You can see that? Those are gonna go on these little butterfly clips here. On this end, you have two little clips. Let me give you guys a better view of that. Okay, so here are the little indentations, the two little clips I mentioned earlier. We're going to make sure that this cover goes, that one's underneath, that one sits on top here on this indentation. Okay, we got to make sure that our little butterfly clips here, make sure this board or cover doesn't go underneath them, it goes on top. Okay, just like that. Okay, once you got that in there, we're going to put our screws back. It's going to be 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay. So let me go ahead and get those screws. Now your screws might be different than mine. Mine are going to be Phillips with a hex head to them. Yours might be a regular Phillips. Once again, we're going to make sure our screws are in there nice and loose. And then once we get all the screws in there, we can go ahead and tighten everything down. Okay. Oh, one quick note, guys, make sure the cables are over here. Before you put this in, make sure your cables are all tucked in. You don't want to damage the cables by putting this cover in. Okay, so that's in there. That's in there. We're going to go ahead and put our two little caps here on our holes. So rubber cap there. Rubber cap there. And then we're going to go ahead and put back our top cover. Okay. Okay. Go. Give you guys a better look over here. What we gotta look out for. Okay, so when you got your cover on, you gotta make sure that there's no sheet metal showing on this side. You see a piece of sheet metal right there? You don't want this sticking out. You want this cover hiding that sheet metal. Towards the front, over here, you want it to look like this. You don't want to see that piece of sheet metal right there sticking out like this. Okay? That needs to go inside there, like that. Okay? That's in. That one's in. That one's in. And we can put our screws there. Once again, it's 1 screw, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Again, guys, put the screws in loose. Once you got them all in, then you can go ahead and tighten them. Okay? Once you got your cover back on, then you can go ahead and turn the machine back on, guys. Hopefully that error code 984 is gone. If it's not there, then it's going to be a fact that we got to change that fan filter if it's not working, or we might need to replace that CTO board. Alright guys, thank you for joining me. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel. That's going to be the red R towards the bottom. I'll leave the part number for the CTO board, that fan, in case they need to get replaced. Thank you guys for joining us and have a good day.